We somehow avoided this story. I thought it was mostly just going to die down and be something that, was a data point, something maybe we mark on what happened in the BYU Colorado football game last week, and then we kind of forget about it. I'm sure BYU fans won't forget about it, but this story has taken on new legs because of some of the quotes that have been given. Let's just start from the basics since we have not mentioned it on the channel. In the middle of BYU's win over Colorado at Colorado, there were some very vulgar chants from Colorado fans that were spewed at BYU players, coaches, everyone from BYU. This is not the first time this has happened. I mean, BYU fans are well familiar with this at this point. Unfortunately, I feel like maybe once a season this becomes a story somewhere where fans cross a line morally in the way they engage with BYU, the program, given their religious background. Colorado fans were chanting uh, bleep, expletive, bleep the Mormons. That was going on basically the whole game. In the end, this became a story afterward. Deion Sanders, for what it's worth, has apologized. He's been basically perfect at the podium in light of this. Deion has been all class, all respect to BYU players, coaches, and everyone, but he has sort of faced the music on behalf of his fan base a lot this week and owned the fact that this was disgusting. So kudos to Deion for handling that way. I believe the Big 12 has fined Colorado. So Colorado football has been fined $50,000 for their fans' behavior targeting BYU over the weekend. Deion had a quote that is the reason we've decided this is now worth talking about. Kind of crazy to hear a football coach say this, Deion, but word for word, this was Deion's quote. Don't indict us just based on a group of young kids that was probably intoxicated and high simultaneously. BYU, we love you, we appreciate you, and we support you. End quote from Deion. Deion, you are a Deion guy. Deion Sanders is one of your favorites. Do you like this quote? They were probably just intoxicated and high. Don't indict us. We love you.
Talk about knowing your fan base, you know what I mean? Like that's special awareness by Prime. Sounds like the fans had a good time. I'll say this, like I didn't see the chant. Obviously, it's not something you want chanted at BYU, right? Like I can understand why Colorado was fined. I definitely understand the issues with the chant, but like I feel like it was probably just coming from like a fun-loving like place. Like I don't think it was like F the Mormons and also they're gonna like do something afterwards. I think it was just like F the Mormons, like jokingly, like we're up 14-3 type of thing. And I think the fans were just trying to have fun. So I understand the fine, but I think I agree with Prime. Like I don't think I would indict the fan base by any means. I don't think I'm looking at Colorado any differently. Like I think it was just a fun-loving chant that, was not necessarily appropriate either.
A fun-loving chant? Is that what you said?
I mean, not an appropriate fun-loving chant, but like I think it's just like I don't know. There's a lot of bad chants in sports, right? That are like brutal to the players, so on and so forth, like pro, college. Like there's a lot of things said that aren't okay. You know what I mean? And this wasn't okay either, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think it was coming necessarily from a malicious place. Like I think it was just like college kids chanting something at the players.
Deion, how's your job going?
Beginning of the school year, everything's like a little up and down. One of the biggest issues we've had is we can't find any uniforms for our girls' sports teams.
Mm, that's a difficult thing to find a solution for. I know damn well all about that because I got a daughter that just turned 2. She's into sports and she's already outgrowing every little piece of sports apparel she had. Thankfully, I know Clara Kate Creations. Clara Kate Creations was started by a former high school teacher who quit because it wasn't cost effective to send new twins and a 2-year-old to daycare. She found it easier to make girl sports apparel than finding it to buy. And I am so thankful that she exists because if we have an old shirt of Murph's that she's outgrown, we can send it in and she takes that piece of apparel that means something and upcycles it into an outfit that Murphy can now wear as she grows up. She makes great stuff. It's honestly kind of like your fullback's wife, Kyle Juszczyk. Is that how you say it? She does that, but Honestly, I think Clara Kate's coming for Mrs. Juszczyk's job.
I love that. I'm a big Juice guy. Love his wife. Love Claire Kate even more than both of them, though.
You can send in your own custom ideas and she will come up with a design. She's just the best. Look up Clara Kate Creations on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and more. I think it's hard to say without being there. I don't want to make judgments one way or the other without feeling it and seeing it.
Right.
Because look, there's no place for any sort of religious persecution. Not that this was that, but it's like it's one of those things. You don't do it. You don't like go after people for their beliefs or their skin color or anything like that. Like that's just don't go there. And I think look, if I'm not making an excuse, they deserve the fine, and Deion had to go out and handle this as respectfully as he has. But I think the reality is people outside of BYU don't understand what it means to be Mormon and what it means to be at BYU and the relationship that religion has with it. I think there are dumb college students out there that just think Mormon is a term for like BYU the same way calling them the Cougars would be, right? Like replace this with F the Cougars. And it's still gross, but it's not like morally bad, right? So look, I'm not trying to justify it, but I do think there's just maybe a lack of understanding that leads people to be basically religiously persecuting without even realizing they're doing it. The fascinating part to me of this is how different could these schools be culturally? How different could these college football programs be culturally when you have a fan base that prides itself on being the nicest, most respectful, to the point that you go to Big Ten Media Days and everyone is like, yeah, I love playing at BYU. It's crazy distracting how nice their fans are. And then on the flip side, you have what Deion Sanders is building. And I get it. He's been as respectful as possible. But he has also, I mean, you see what Shador's doing in the media this week. You see the way all of this is going. He's built an environment for chaos, right? He has welcomed it. He has wanted headlines and story and just attention in all ways possible. And Deion's a good person. Deion Sanders is a good person who says and does the right things. But I think in a way where maybe 2 years ago before Deion gets there, what's the student section look like at Colorado? It's probably 20% full of fans who wouldn't make a sound. Now it's 110% full. And not only is it 110% full, but the people going to the games, he's right, are going to be drunk and high at the same time. Because that's what it now means to go support Colorado football. We're going to have a huge party. We're the crazy school. And I went to a party school. I went to Michigan State. I certainly used my share of vices at Michigan State. I had fun. College students have fun. But I do think it's kind of wild to hear a sitting head coach be like, they were just drunk and high. Like, we might want to get that a little under control if it's just like, oh, our whole fan base was just drunk and high. Yeah, just a little drunk and high.
I mean, it's legal.
It is. It is.
The
It's very
original
true.
legal state, I believe, actually.
Very true. You're not wrong.
I would just say with the chant, just to explain myself just a tad, my bad. It to me, it's coming from the same place like a fuck the refs chant comes from, or F the refs chant, excuse my language, comes from. Like I just think it's inappropriate. They should be fined. It shouldn't happen again. I just don't. I just think it was coming from a different place than if you just heard someone on the street say "F the Mormons." That's all.
Very true. Very, very true. And again, this happens, it feels like once a year. So would be lovely if it never happens again. At bare minimum, kudos to the Big 12 for fining Colorado for this. And really, I think Deion Sanders has handled this about as good as you possibly could, handling his drunk and high students.